The question is it too late to buy SpaceX? They went public yesterday, June 12th, Friday, ticker symbol SPCX. Okay, stocks started at about 135-ish. Now, closed at about 160-ish. Still climbing a little bit after hours, overnight trading, etc., right? But, going back to our big question, it's simple, okay? Is it too late to buy SpaceX? In this video, I'm going to share with you guys my thoughts, my opinions. At the end of the day, and it's not financial advice, but you do the research, you figure it out for what's best for your portfolio, okay? But I'm going to share with you my thoughts. And no, this ain't a clickbait question. SpaceX, largest IPO ever, okay? Went public again on Friday, yesterday, June 12th, $1.8 trillion. That's the biggest IPO in history. Okay. If you take a look at these three boxes I've got on here for you guys, on the bottom left, $1.8 trillion. That's what Wall Street values SpaceX at right now. Okay. That's according to CNBC. And if you take a look, right, 650%. That's how much pre-IPO shares jumped between 2020 and the IPO. We had backers. You know what? In fact, it's funny. I was watching on all over the financial news. Okay, we've got all these different investors. We've got the people working in the cafeteria becoming millionaires. Okay, early backers like Ron Barron, Kathy Wood. Right? They made fortunes. Okay, and then if you take a look on the bottom right, we've got 8 million subscribers. That is the Starlink customers around the world. Starlink is one of their big business that's just blowing up. They're going to put a lot of investments into it from this IPO. It's going to be fantastic. It's not just all about rockets, although space travel is going to be amazing. I can't wait to get up into space myself, and I love how Elon had shared yesterday, right? Take the fiction out of science. I love that. That was iconic, and so I'm looking forward to it myself. Okay. Thank you for joining me and listening to my opinion based off of all this stuff. Again, it's not just a rocket story, right? It's real cash flows. It's a real cash flowing business as well. Long-term story has plenty in it. Today, I'm going to go ahead and keep it simple, right? We're going to cover what SpaceX does, why Starlink is a cash engine, why Elon has been proven right before, right? Even when he's hit, been close to rock bottom, rockets blown up, etc., right? Things could have ended up the complete opposite for him. But you know what? Elon has done it, and that is why I still think that this is a buy. So, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for joining me. My name's Curtis with Wallet Real Talk. Hit that like button for me. Click subscribe, right? Watch my other videos. I've got it on NVIDIA, Marvell, right? I've got basic economic stuff. Watch it. And let's go ahead and get moving in here. If you got any questions during this video, drop it into the comment section, okay? Okay, so here is my SpaceX backdrop for you all. Let me tell you in plain words what this company actually does, right? I mean, we think about like it's just going to be space traveling. You know what? What if one day they have time traveling for us that comes out of one of Elon Musk's companies, right? Hey, that's just my speculation, okay? But anyways, SpaceX is a rocket and satellite company based in Hawthorne, California. Elon Musk started it all the way back in 2002, and it's funny, right? I didn't know that until I looked into it. There's a lot of old videos that they actually recorded at his offices and stuff like that way back in the days. If you're interested, go ahead and take a look into that. Again, right? They've got and Elon was young, okay? Anyways, at that time, right, when Elon Musk started it back then, the goal was simple but huge, obviously. It was to make space and space travel cheap and get humans to Mars, multi-planetary, right? That's what they wanted to do. For a long time, most people laughed at the idea. Nobody's laughing now, though, especially with Elon's track record. And in fact, it's funny. They're not laughing. It's more of an expectation now, in my opinion, at least. So today, SpaceX does three big things, okay? It launches rockets for paying customers. It runs Starlink, the world's biggest satellite internet network that all these other internet companies are trying to catch up with, right? I mean, I'm talking about the big cellular companies, okay? I'm not going to name them here, but there's only a few of them here in America. And then building Starship, which is the next generation rocket for Moon and Mars. And one of their engineers had said yesterday, right, the goal is to get to the Moon first, and then from there we'll get to Mars. And interestingly enough, I'm thinking, you know what, one day we might be able to, take a trip up to Mars with a layover in Moon at the Moon. Wouldn't that be exciting? So now let's take a look at these boxes that I've got here across the middle of the slide for you. Okay, on the left, about 15.5 billion in revenue last year. Most of that comes from the Starlink subscriptions. Okay, that's real recurring money. That's why they're going to be pouring in a lot of money that they've gotten and put together from this IPO over to Starlink to grow that business. In the middle, we've got 138 rocket launches in 2025. That's more than every other country and company in the world combined. And then on the right, over 98% success rate. Out of 650 plus launches on the Falcon 9 rocket, that kind of reliability is essentially unheard of. Only can be done by Elon Musk and his company, of course. So, yes, this company is for real. And as we move forward, we're gonna cover three things. Okay, deeper into what SpaceX actually does. I want to get into the fine details and share with you guys more on that. Why this is the biggest moat in space, and then number three, why it is still a long-term buy from here, and that's probably why you're here. Okay, long-term buy, and stay with me. This is going to be an interesting talk, an interesting discussion that I'm going to share with you all. You guys are going to be excited about this, so keep watching. So what does SpaceX actually do, right? They've got one unfair advantage, okay? Everybody hears about the rockets, the real money is also up in orbit, okay? On the left, Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, these are the reusable rockets. SpaceX flew 138 Falcon launches in 2025, right? And here's the magic trick. They land the booster on a drone ship in the ocean, and they fly it again and again. Some boosters have flown over 20 times. Nobody else in the world can do that. So if you think about it, right? I mean, I remember watching Elon, and he thought that the most wasteful thing was to actually use a rocket and let it just, deteriorate, blow up or whatever, and not be able to use it again. That's why they do this, okay? So in the middle, we've got Starlink, right? I touched on it already. It's essentially the satellite internet business, okay? You guys remember when Russia started invading Ukraine and they had no data, no cellular, nothing like that. Elon was kind enough from the kindness of his heart, right? Allowed Ukraine to use Starlink for data, right? That's powerful. That's what it can be used for. There are over 7,000 active Starlink satellites in low Earth orbit and over 8 million paying customers in more than 125 countries. So many people are already using it from across the globe. That right there, this is the cash engine of the company, okay? So, uh, lastly, number three on the right, Starship, okay? This is the next generation rocket. This is what you think of when you hear SpaceX. At least I do personally. But, it's designed to carry humans to Moon and to Mars. NASA already signed a contract with SpaceX to use Starship as the moon lander for the Artemis program. This, my friends, in my opinion, is the big leagues. Okay, bottom line, you can't win in space today without SpaceX in the conversation. There's a reason why, and I'm not gonna shoot down the other space stocks, but I think that there's still growth for everybody. But you can't talk about space without SpaceX in the conversation. Falcon is the workhorse, Starlink is the cash machine, and Starship is in the future. Now, one thing, okay, that everybody is talking about, and already, okay, there's still speculation that, what if they throw Tesla in the mix? And you got to remember, right? Tesla is one of the Mag 7s, okay? And did you know that with the IPO, SpaceX actually overtook Tesla? Ain't that amazing? All right, so I'm going to zoom into the part that pays the bills, right, which is Starlink. I mentioned it already. That's the cash cow right there. Recurring revenue, global reach, almost no real competition right now. On the left, $11.8 billion in Starlink revenue for 2025. That is from Quilty Space, a respected industry analyst, okay? just so that you know, this information here, I mean, it's not just my opinion, okay? I get credible data before I throw it on these slides for you all. Anyways, that was from Quilty Space, a respected industry analyst, and the number is up about 70% year over year. Now, right in the middle, right, we've got 8 million active subscribers. I mentioned that before, spread across 125 countries all across the globe already. Okay, so people in rural areas, okay, that can't get the same cellular data as that we do in urban areas or maybe even suburban areas. But anyways, I mean, think about it, right? There's plenty of areas where they're not getting any service, and that's where Starlink comes in. Especially if you think about it, right? I mean, if you're on an airplane getting service, if you're on a ship getting service, even war zones, as I had mentioned before, right? They got to use Starlink. I mean, if that's not pushing technology to the edge, right? I don't know what is. And on top of that, right? Keep in mind the U.S. military pays for a special version called Starship. Nobody can understand the amount of money that the government spends, state government, federal government, whatever it might be, on services and whatever they need. Okay, no, they're the largest spenders. Okay, and then on the right, we've got 7,000 satellites already in orbit. That's the largest satellite constellation ever built, right? No, who can do it but Elon? Okay, nobody even comes close. And here's why it matters most. Starlink is now profitable. Not just growing, but profitable. That's huge. Right? That's what investors want to hear, is that a company is profitable, right? Think about the amount of growth that some of these stocks get when they're not even profitable yet, right? So something to keep in mind. Every month, millions of customers send SpaceX a subscription payment, just like Netflix, okay? Just like Amazon Prime, just like Spotify. That is the kind of recurring revenue that Wall Street investors love. They pay big multiples for it, right? And us as retail investors, we like to follow along, right, with the herding. So anyways, in my opinion, this moat just keeps growing. Okay, it gets wide. The moat gets wider and wider, and then on top of that, if you're invested in it, you've got Elon on your side. So, anyways, every new satellite SpaceX launches makes it harder for anyone to catch up. Just straight from my opinion here. Okay, here's the heart of the story. So, why does SpaceX keep winning? I have 4 simple reasons for you. Okay, number one, okay, they've got the reusable rockets. That's going to win on costs, right? I mean, every company wants to cut down on costs. How are you going to do it with space and rockets, right? Is to not just blow up a rocket and have to rebuild it all over again, okay? Falcon 9 has flown the same boosters over 20 times. Every other rocket company throws their boosters away. SpaceX, okay, they land them and they refly them. Bottom line. I mean, for you sustainable folks, man, that is a cost saving driver right there. So anyways, that's why their launch price is way lower than everybody else's. Now take a look at number 2. Okay, Starlink has no real rival. I mentioned that already. Amazon has one that's behind on satellites in orbit. There's OneWeb, which is smaller and almost bankrupt. The moat on the satellites already up there. Okay, you can't catch up overnight. It takes too much capital X. It takes too much research. It takes too much mind power, engineers, etc. to be catching up overnight. Number 3, okay, government contracts, right? I mentioned that before. Nobody likes to spend like the governments. Okay, it's massive. NASA, the Department of Defense, Space Force, they all depend on SpaceX. There's over $15 billion in known government contracts for SpaceX. That's steady money that the company can count on for years, right? I mean, what's more reliable than government money, okay? Then number 4 on the bottom right, Starship unlocks the next decade, okay? Starship. That's what we think of when we think of SpaceX. I mean, we think about like space travel, right? I mean, they're going to try to get that going for us. The cost to get in orbit at full scale drops about 10 times when Starship starts being active, essentially. Cheaper space changes what is possible, and that's what they're looking into doing. Those are their goals. If they're trying to get every person that wants to travel out of space on to the moon, to Mars, right? They've got to cut down on costs, obviously. So, anyways, put it all together, okay? Put all these four together. That's why SpaceX is special. And then you know what? I've got a fifth one. That's a bonus for you, right? Elon Musk. Elon Musk. And then you just imagine if they throw the Mag 7 Tesla into it too, right? That's just, oh, goodness. So here I've got a chart on the left side of the slide for you all. I know you guys like data, right? Credible data. This is where it gets really exciting for me, okay? If you take a look at the bars, okay, on the bottom, I've got the years. Each bar shows the size of the global space economy in billions of dollars. 2020, all the way on the far left, okay? It was about $350 billion. 2024 jumped up, okay? And to what's that? $600 billion. That's about double, you know. And then by 2026, we're already at about $800 billion. Here's the kicker, though. Okay, by 2030, analysts at Morgan Stanley and Citi sees the space economy at over $1 trillion. That's right, 1 trillion, one with a T. Okay, and by 2035, around $1.8 trillion. That's the size of SpaceX at IPO, just for the market. Okay, SpaceX is the biggest player in that pie. Now, if you take a look on the right, okay, close to where my wallet real talk symbol is at, right? We've got right here $1.8 trillion. That's the size of the space economy by 2035, base case. Okay, that's not even bull case. Okay, base case. Okay, and then we've got the middle box, $15 billion in government contracts already booked. That's real, dependable, reliable money coming in on signed deals. Okay, and then bottom box, we've got 10 times cost drop with Starship. Cost to orbit is projected to fall about $60 per kilogram. Compare that to thousands of dollars today. When prices drop that much, okay, brand new industries open up. The chart is the visual version of why the story is just getting started, okay, everybody? And then here's one of the biggest reasons why I'm really excited about SpaceX, and you should be too, okay? If you missed Tesla, you don't want to miss this one. You know, I remember I was much younger hanging out in Hawaii with my brother-in-law, okay? He was stationed out there. Love Hawaii, such an amazing place, out in Oahu, right? And we're sitting there by the beach house, right next to the beach. And he's telling me all about Tesla. And at that time, okay, Tesla was probably less than $20 a share. Okay. And I felt like I was far too late on that already. Okay. So guess what? I never even touched Tesla. You know, what a thing, right? But, anyways, let me move forward on this. If you missed Tesla, you don't want to miss this one. Elon Musk has done this exact thing before. Okay. If you take a look at the left column with Tesla, they went public in 2010. The IPO valuation was about $1.7 billion. The stock priced at $17 a share. Critics said Tesla would go bankrupt within a year. Wall Street called it a joke. And what happened? Anyone who puts in $10,000 at that IPO would have been sitting on millions today. Okay, now if you take a look on the right column, we've got SpaceX now. Okay, this is the, you know, I'm trying to relate it here. SpaceX just went public at $1.8 trillion. Starlink has 8 million plus subscribers, still growing super fast. Okay, the critics today say SpaceX is too big to grow more from here. Everybody is scared of the rule of the big numbers, the larger the company gets, etc. Right? Does this sound familiar to you? That is the exact same thing that they said about Tesla. You know, when I think back about, you know, the companies like Tesla, Amazon, Apple, right? What company can be that today? Anyways, in my opinion, there's long-term upside and it's massive. It's huge. Mars, okay, missions to space, defense contracts, global internet, even space stations. Our dependency on SpaceX as humans humankind's dependency on SpaceX. And then on top of that, you know, I will never bet against Elon Musk, okay? I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care all the bad things that's been said about Elon. I will not bet against that man. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him. Let's bring this all together, okay? Is it too late to buy a SpaceX, right? I mean, you guys probably already took my take on this right here. Short answer is absolutely not. No. Short answer, no. The long-term story is just beginning, okay? Now, if you're a day trader, right, I'm not going to be able to answer this question for you. I don't know where it's going to move. People are speculating that maybe some of those that have built a fortune by working for SpaceX and being a part of this IPO are going to be selling their shares, and I mean, there might be a lot of profit taking. I'm not going to be able to answer those questions for you, but the long-term story, in my opinion, right, it's just beginning, okay? There's three big takeaways from this, okay? Remember, we've got Starlink, okay? Number two, we've got Elon Musk, okay? Not going to bet against that guy. Number three, do you believe that we'll be able to travel through space in the future, right? If you do, it's with Starship and SpaceX, all right? That's the bottom line. And then on top of that, right, I mean, there's all these other variables that can bring upside, that can act as a catalyst, such as, the potential, the speculative thought of having Tesla added to SpaceX, etc., right? You just don't know where Elon's going to take this. And my assumption is that it's going to grow, and it's going to grow exponentially. Might not be this year, might not be next year, but you know what? I mean, in the future, absolutely. Long term, buy. I would hold for long term with SpaceX. That's just my opinion, okay? Not financial advice. Do the research, figure out what's best for you and your portfolio, okay? I don't want to be making the calls for you, but I would like for you to at least, not have the regrets of missing out if you end up, looking back 10 years from now and seeing where SpaceX has come, because I felt that way about Tesla and Apple and Amazon, etc. Okay, so anyways, let's just get down to it. Okay, cheaper access to space is gonna be unlocked in the next decade or so. Okay, there's gonna be way more satellite for Starlink, more science, right? Science, remove the fiction. All this stuff is gonna come to life. Being on the moon, being on Mars, and being able to do things there. That's a brand new economy being built right in front of our eyes, and we don't even know it. That's the bottom line. That's all I got for you guys, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Curtis, right? Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, okay? If you want to know about other stuff like Marvell, Nvidia, Micron, I made some videos for those recently. Check that out. I'm going to leave it somewhere around here at the end of my video as well. And then if you got any questions, comments, right, tell me what you think about space travel, SpaceX, and Starlink, whatever it might be, okay? Tell me what you think about the merger with Tesla. Tell me about that, okay? Drop it into the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Make it a great weekend.